The training room at the Terran Military Academy smelled like sweat and metal. Red dust from Mars hung in the air, making everything look like it was covered in old blood. Captain Teo stood at the center of the room, watching the cadets move through their combat drills. 20 young soldiers, human and alien alike, pushed their bodies to the limit. They kicked, they punched, they threw each other across the mat. This was their daily ritual, the forge that would turn them into the galaxy's finest warriors. Minseok was one of the strongest cadets at the academy. He was Vironid, a species from the outer colonies known for their physical power. His body was almost 2 meters tall, covered in blue-gray skin that was harder than human bone. His muscles moved like steel cables beneath his uniform. Every soldier in the academy knew Minseok's name. He was the kind of fighter who made everyone else look slow. That morning, Captain Tayo called out names for partner training. When he said Minseok and Jiwon, a strange feeling filled the room. The other cadets stopped and looked at Jiwon. She was standing alone at the edge of the training area, quiet and still. Jiwon was a human, small and lean, with black hair pulled back in a simple bun. She had joined the academy 3 months ago, and nobody really knew much about her. She never talked during meals. She never joined the games in the common room. She just trained, studied, and slept. Minseok walked toward her with a confident smile. He had fought Jiwon once before in a group drill, and she had been easy to beat. He expected the same result today. He bent his long arms and got into his fighting stance. Jiwon did the same, her face calm and empty. Captain Teo raised his hand. "Begin," he said quietly. Minseok did not wait. He charged forward like a storm, his massive body moving faster than something that big should move. His right hand came up into a punch that was meant to knock Jiwon backward or to the ground. It was the kind of punch that could break bones. It was the kind of punch that could end a fight in 1 second. Jiwon's arm moved. It was not fast. It was faster than fast. Her forearm came up and met Minseok's fist in the middle of his attack. The moment they touched, the world seemed to stop. The sound that came out was like a bomb going off inside the training room. It was so loud that Captain Teo's ears rang. The impact sent a wave of energy across the floor, and every cadet stumbled backward. Dust that had been hanging in the air fell like rain. Minseok flew backward as if he had been hit by a vehicle. He crashed into the wall 10 meters away and fell hard to the ground. He did not move for several seconds. The room was silent. Then a voice came from the walls. It was the combat assessment scanner, a machine that watched all training sessions and measured the strength and skill of every fighter. The voice was cold and electronic, but also urgent and afraid. A holographic warning appeared in the air, burning in red letters that seemed to hurt to look at. Subject Jiwon. Threat level Omega. Do not engage. Authorization level Delta 9 required. Captain Teo felt his heart stop. He had been in the military for 20 years. He had seen many battles. He had seen weapons and soldiers and machines that could destroy cities. But he had never seen a threat level labeled Omega. He did not even know that level existed. The other cadets stepped back from Jiwon. Some of them looked scared. Some of them looked confused. Minseok was slowly getting up, holding his right arm. His blue skin was darker where the blood had rushed to his injury. His face showed pain and surprise. Jiwon stood in the same position she had been in before the punch. Her breathing was normal. Her face showed no emotion. She looked like someone who had just woken up from sleep. Captain Teo raised his hand and stopped the training. "All cadets, return to your stations," he said. His voice was firm, but inside he was not calm. "Except Jiwon. Stay here." The other cadets left the room slowly, still looking back at Jiwon. Nobody spoke. Nobody wanted to be the first person to leave, because nobody wanted to take their eyes off her. Minseok left last, holding his arm carefully. The medical officer met him at the door. When the room was empty except for Captain Teo and Jiwon, there was nothing but silence. The two of them stood looking at each other across the empty training floor. Captain Teo was trying to understand what he had seen. He was trying to understand what the scanner had meant. He was trying to understand who Ji-won really was. Ji-won did not move. She did not speak. She just waited. "What happened?" Captain Teo asked. His voice was gentle, not angry. He was asking a real question, not accusing her of anything. Ji-won took a long time to answer. When she did, her voice was quiet and sad. "I was not supposed to block like that," she said. "I should have let him win. I should have fallen down. I should have looked weak and normal. That was the plan. That was always the plan." Captain Teo walked toward her slowly. "Who told you to look weak?" "My orders," Ji-won said. "My sealed orders. I was supposed to come here and be nobody. I was supposed to train like everyone else and hide what I am. But when he threw that punch, my body just moved. I did not think about it. My body knows how to fight in ways that humans are not supposed to fight." Captain Teo did not know what to say. The scanner had confirmed that Ji-won was dangerous, but looking at her now, standing in the empty training room with her head down, she did not look like a threat. She looked like someone carrying a heavy weight. She looked like someone who had been running away from something for a long time. "I need to know the truth," Captain Teo said. "What are you, Ji-won?" Ji-won looked up at him, and for the first time Captain Teo saw something in her eyes. He saw fear. He saw pain. He saw the weight of years pressing down on her shoulders. "I am a weapon that was supposed to stay quiet," Ji-won said. "I am a soldier from a program that was supposed to be destroyed. I came to this academy because I wanted to be normal. I wanted to have a life that did not involve fighting and pain. But my body remembers. My body knows what to do. And now everyone knows what I am." The red warning still burned in the air above them. "Do not engage. Authorization level Delta 9 required." Captain Teo made a decision. He would find out the truth about Ji-won. He would learn about her past, and he would decide for himself whether she was truly a threat or just a person trying to escape her own history. But that investigation would have to wait. For now, he had a larger problem. The combat assessment scanner had just announced to the entire academy that something very unusual had arrived in their midst. That kind of secret was already beginning to spread through the halls like a virus. By the end of the day, everyone would know about Ji-won. And by the end of the week, people would start asking difficult questions about who she was and where she came from. Captain Teo looked at Ji-won and said, "Come with me. We need to talk to Commander Park." Commander Park sat in his office, looking at the computer screen in front of him. His face was very still. On the screen was Ji-won's military file. It was one of the thinnest files Commander Park had ever seen in his entire career. Most files for Academy cadets were thick with information: school records, test results, family background, medical history, psychological evaluations. Ji-won's file had almost nothing. The first page showed her name, age, and the date she arrived at the academy. The second page had a photograph of her face taken on her first day. Everything else was covered with black marks. These were redaction marks, signs that information had been removed by someone with very high authority. Commander Park counted them. 70% of the file was black marks. That meant 70% of Ji-won's life was a secret. At the very bottom of the file, there was one sentence that was not redacted. It said, "Asset status, inactive, await reactivation orders." Commander Park stared at those words for a long time. Inactive. That meant Ji-won had been active before. That meant she had been used for something. That meant someone somewhere had been waiting for the day when they would need to activate her again. He looked up from the screen when Captain Teo knocked on his door. The captain came in and closed the door behind him. His face was serious and concerned. "You saw the scanner alert," Commander Park said. It was not a question. "Yes," Captain Teo said. "I was there when it happened. I saw the whole thing." Tell me, Commander Park said. Captain Tayo sat down and told the story. He described how Minseok had charged at Jiwon. He described the impossible speed of her block. He described the impact that had sent the Vironid cadet flying backward like a toy. He described the fear he had seen in the training room when the scanner announced the threat level. Commander Park listened without interrupting. When Captain Tayo finished, Commander Park opened a drawer and took out Jiwon's file. He turned the computer screen so that Captain Tayo could see it. "This is everything we have on her," Commander Park said. "Almost nothing. Someone very powerful wants to keep her history secret." Captain Tayo looked at the black marks covering most of the file. He knew what those marks meant. They meant secrets. They meant danger. They meant that Jiwon was not who everyone thought she was. "What does asset mean?" Captain Tayo asked. "And what does inactive mean?" "It means she was a tool," Commander Park said quietly. "It means she was used for military purposes, and it means she has been waiting, dormant, for someone to use her again." That night, Captain Tayo requested a private meeting with Jiwon. They met in a small observation room deep inside the academy where no one could hear them. Jiwon sat across from him, her back straight, her hands folded in her lap. She looked calm, but Captain Tayo could see small signs of fear. Her jaw was tight. Her breathing was careful and controlled. "I read your file," Captain Tayo said, "or what there is of it. It tells me almost nothing." Jiwon did not respond at first. She looked down at her hands for a long time. "I cannot tell you everything," Jiwon finally said. "The program that made me has kept secrets for a reason." "Then tell me what you can," Captain Tayo said. "Tell me the truth." Jiwon took a deep breath. 20 years ago, there was a government program," she said slowly. "It was called the Sentience Enhancement Program. It was secret. Very secret. The goal was to create soldiers who were better than normal humans, faster, stronger, smarter. The program used genetic modification. It changed the DNA of children, starting when they were very young." Captain Tayo felt cold. The idea of modifying children into weapons made him feel sick. "How many children?" he asked. "I do not know exactly," Jiwon said. "But there were many. Maybe 200, maybe more. I was one of them. They took me when I was 5 years old. I do not remember my family. I do not remember my childhood. I only remember the training. I remember the pain of the modifications. I remember learning how to fight. I remember learning how to be a weapon." "What happened to the program?" Captain Tayo asked. "There was an incident," Jiwon said. "One of the enhanced soldiers lost control. She killed many people. The scandal was very large. The government could not hide it anymore. They shut down the program. They said it was a failure. They said they would destroy all of us." "But they did not destroy you," Captain Tayo said. "No," Jiwon said. "A few of us survived. They put us into inactive status. They told us to hide. They told us to try to live normal lives. They said that one day they might need us again. So we waited. We lived as normal as we could. But I could never be truly normal. My body is not normal. My mind is not normal. Everything about me is different." Captain Tayo understood now why Jiwon had come to the academy. She had been searching for a place where she could belong. She had been searching for a place where being different was not a crime. She had been searching for a way to use her gifts for something that was not cruel or evil. "Why did you block that punch?" Captain Tayo asked. "Because I could not let him hurt me," Jiwon said. "Because my body reacted without my permission. Because I am tired of hiding. Because something inside me knows that I am going to need to use my abilities soon, and I cannot hide anymore." "What do you mean?" Captain Tayo asked. "Why will you need to use your abilities?" Jiwon looked up at him, and in her eyes Captain Tayo saw something he had not seen before. It was a kind of knowing. It was like she could see into the future and was not happy with what she saw. "Because enemies are coming," Jiwon said, "and they will be looking for me." 2 days later, Commander Park received a message from the highest levels of government. The message was very short. It said, "Do not remove Jiwon from the academy. She is to remain there until further notice. Any questions about her status should be directed to the Department of Classified Military Operations." Commander Park understood what that message meant. The government knew about Jiwon. The government was watching her. The government was waiting for something to happen. He called Captain Tayo back to his office and told him what the message said. The two men understood that they were now part of something much larger than they had expected. They were part of a secret that involved the highest levels of power. They were part of a plan that had been made long before Jiwon had ever come to the academy. And somewhere out in the dark of space, something was moving. Something was searching. Something was coming toward Mars, toward the academy, toward Jiwon. But nobody at the academy knew it yet. Nobody was ready. Jiwon knew, though. She could feel it, deep inside her bones, the way animals feel storms coming. The quiet girl who had been hiding in plain sight was about to become the most important person in the galaxy. And the first sign of that change had already happened. The scanner had labeled her. The warning had been given. The stage was being set for everything that was about to unfold. The attack came on a morning that started like any other morning. Jiwon was in the training room, alone, practicing her movements. The sun was rising over the horizon of Mars, painting the sky orange and red. She had been awake since before dawn, running through the combat techniques that her body remembered from 20 years of training. Her muscles moved like they were programmed by a machine. Every punch was perfect. Every kick was precise. But inside her mind, something was wrong. She could feel it. Something was coming. At 6 o'clock in the morning, the alarms began to sound. The sound was loud and terrible, a shrieking that made everyone in the academy jump from their beds. Red lights began to flash in the corridors. Computer screens showed strange readings. Ships were coming, not friendly ships, not academy ships, enemy ships. The Vironid battle group appeared on the horizon like a dark stain spreading across the sky. There were 5 large warships and 12 smaller fighter craft. They came fast and hard, not trying to hide, not trying to be quiet. They announced themselves with weapons fire that shook the entire academy. The first hit destroyed the shield generator on the eastern side of the base. The second and third hits damaged the communication tower and the fuel storage facility. Explosions bloomed across the academy like flowers of fire and smoke. Cadets and soldiers ran through the halls, trying to reach their stations. Some of them knew what to do. Many of them did not. Fear made people run in wrong directions. Fear made people forget their training. Commander Park was in the command center, watching the attack unfold on multiple screens. He could see the enemy ships getting closer. He could see the weapons charging. He could see that the Academy's defenses were not strong enough to stop them. The Academy had been built for training, not for war. It had been built to protect young soldiers from harm, not to fight off an enemy battle group. "We need to evacuate," Commander Park said to his officers. "Get everyone to the transport ships. Move as many people as you can." But even as he said it, he knew that the transport ships would never make it. The enemy had blocked the launch zones. Any ship that tried to leave the Academy would be shot down before it cleared the atmosphere. The Academy was trapped. Captain Tayo was coordinating the defense from another part of the base. He was trying to protect the cadets who were still in the barracks. He was trying to get them to shelter. But shelter was running out. Every building that was not being directly attacked was being filled with scared soldiers and cadets. The enemy commander called out a message on all frequencies. His name was Commander Roktan, and he was leading the attack. His voice was deep and cold. "This is Commander Roktan of the Vironid Empire," the voice said. "I am here to retrieve a stolen asset. Deliver Jiwon to us, and we will spare your base. Refuse, and we will destroy everyone inside it." When that message played through the Academy speakers, everyone understood who was responsible for the attack. Everyone understood that one person had brought this destruction down on them. Everyone turned their eyes toward Ji-won. She was in the communication center when the message played. She was standing next to Commander Park, watching the screens. When she heard Commander Roktan's voice, her body became very still. Her face showed no emotion, but inside, Ji-won was feeling something she had not felt in a long time. It was anger. It was also resignation. It was the feeling of knowing that she had made a choice, and now the price of that choice was being paid. "No," Commander Park said immediately. "We will not give you anyone. We will not surrender." But even as he said it, Commander Park was thinking about the cadets. He was thinking about the young soldiers who were scared and confused. He was thinking about the people under his command who might die because he made the wrong choice. "The transport ships need to move," Commander Park said to his officers. "Get the non-combatants out of here. Evacuate everyone who is not a soldier." The enemy attack continued for another hour. The Academy's defenses fought back, but they were weak. The shields failed. The weapon stations were destroyed. Buildings began to collapse. People died. Some of them were soldiers. Some of them were cadets. Some of them were support staff who had never even held a weapon in their lives. Ji-won was moving through the Academy, helping people to the transport areas. She was helping injured people stand up. She was carrying people who could not walk. She was doing the work of a soldier, helping her people survive. Then she heard a new voice calling her name. It was coming from the speaker system, but it was not a speaker message. It was a direct communication, and it was meant only for her. The voice belonged to Min Seok. "Ji-won," Min Seok's voice said, "I need to talk to you. Meet me at the North Gate." Ji-won left the evacuation area and went to the North Gate. When she arrived, she found Min Seok waiting for her. His arm was still sore from the training fight, but he was standing. His face was serious and angry. "My brother is out there," Min Seok said, pointing at the battle group. "He sent me a message before the attack. He told me that I should help him capture you. He told me that the Vironid Empire would reward me if I gave you to them." Ji-won did not move. She did not speak. She was waiting to hear what Min Seok would say next. "But I will not do it," Min Seok said. "I have been training here with you for 6 months. I have watched you help other cadets. I have watched you try to be normal and quiet and harmless. But when that punch came at you, you showed me what you really are. You are not a weapon that anyone owns. You are a soldier. You are someone who fights to protect others, and I respect that." Min Seok looked out at the battle group attacking the Academy. "My brother is wrong," Min Seok said. "The Vironid way is to take strength and use it for power and glory. But your way is different. You have strength and you want to use it to protect people. That is better. That is what soldiers should do." "Then what do you want from me?" Ji-won asked. "I want to help you," Min Seok said. "I want to fight beside you. I want to help you stop this attack. I want to help you save the Academy." Ji-won looked at the Vironid cadet. She saw genuine emotion in his eyes. She saw respect. She saw the choice he had made to stand with humans instead of with his own people. "It will be very dangerous," Ji-won said. "I know," Min Seok said. "But I would rather die fighting with honor than live as a traitor to everything I have learned here." Ji-won nodded slowly. She knew what she had to do. She had always known. The time for hiding was over. The time for being quiet and weak and normal had ended. The time for being a weapon had returned. But this time, she would use her power for something that mattered. This time, she would use her power to protect people she cared about. "Then, we will fight together," Ji-won said to Min Seok. "But first, I need to talk to Captain Teo. I need to tell him that I am ready to be activated." I need to tell him that the day has come when I must stop hiding who I am. Captain Teo was in the command center with Commander Park when Ji-won and Min Seok arrived. The alarms were still blaring. The screens were still showing images of fire and destruction. Everyone was running around, trying to save lives and coordinate the evacuation. But when Ji-won walked in, everything seemed to change. The captain and the commander both looked at her. They knew what her presence meant. They knew why she had come to them in the middle of this battle. I need to be reactivated, Ji-won said. Her voice was calm and steady. I know the risks. I know what will happen to my body, but I am the only one here who can stop this attack. I am the only one who can protect this academy. Commander Park felt his heart break. He looked at the young woman standing in his command center, and he understood that she was making a choice to sacrifice herself. She was choosing to use the power that had been forced into her body, knowing that doing so would shorten her life. She was choosing to become a weapon again, even though she had spent years trying to be human. The reactivation procedure is dangerous, Captain Teo said. The medical reports from your file are very clear. The enhancement process was designed 20 years ago. We do not know if it will still work. We do not know if your body can still handle it. Then I will find out, Ji-won said. But I have to try. If I do not try, more people will die. More cadets will die. You will die. Commander Park made a decision. He was the commander of the academy. That meant the decision was his to make. He could say no. He could refuse to reactivate Ji-won. He could try to protect her, even if it meant losing the academy. But he looked out at the screens showing the enemy attack, and he knew that there was no real choice. The academy would fall without help. Many people would die. And the enemy would get what they wanted anyway. Ji-won would not be safe by hiding. She would only be safe if she fought back and won. Take her to the medical facility, Commander Park said. Do the reactivation, but promise me something, Ji-won. Promise me that you will come back alive. Ji-won did not promise. She could not promise. Both of them knew that reactivation might kill her. Both of them knew that even if she survived the procedure, the strain on her body would be immense. But she nodded to show that she understood what Commander Park was asking, and that was enough. The medical facility was deep underground, protected by multiple layers of armor. Dr. Hae-won was the chief medical officer at the academy. She was small and quick-moving, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. When Ji-won arrived, Dr. Hae-won's eyes went wide. She had read Ji-won's sealed medical file. She understood what was happening. The reactivation chamber is still here, Dr. Hae-won said. We kept it for emergency situations, but I have to warn you, Ji-won. Nobody has used this equipment in 20 years. We do not know if it will work. We do not know if your body will respond the way it is supposed to. I understand, Ji-won said. Let us do it. The chamber was a large metal cylinder covered with wires and sensors. It looked like a machine from ancient history, covered in dust. Dr. Hae-won and her assistants cleaned it quickly and prepared the equipment. They put sensors on Ji-won's body. They connected her to machines that would monitor her heartbeat and breathing and brain activity. The procedure will take about 2 hours, Dr. Hae-won said. During that time, your body will be subjected to a series of electrical pulses and chemical injections. These will reactivate your genetic enhancements. You will feel pain. You will feel like your body is burning. Some people do not survive the procedure. I know, Ji-won said. Do it. She stepped into the chamber and lay down on the metal table inside. Dr. Hae-won closed the door. The machinery began to hum and vibrate. Lights came on inside the chamber, filling it with a pale blue color. And then the pain began. Ji-won's scream echoed through the medical facility. It was not the scream of someone in small pain. It was the scream of someone whose entire body was being torn apart and rebuilt. The sensors showed her heart rate going up and up, faster and faster. Her brain activity spiked. Her muscles began to convulse. Dr. Haywan watched the screens, ready to stop the procedure if Jiwan's body began to fail completely. But the procedure continued. Hour after hour, the machinery worked, and slowly, something changed. The wild readings began to calm down. The convulsions began to slow. The pain seemed to become something that Jiwan could endure, rather than something that would kill her. After 2 hours, the machinery stopped. The lights faded. The chamber door opened. Jiwan stepped out very slowly. Her whole body was shaking. She was sweating. Her eyes were unfocused, but she was alive. And as Dr. Haywan helped her to a chair, she saw something that made her take a step back. Jiwan's eyes had changed. They were still the same color, but they seemed to see more. They seemed to see deeper. They seemed to see into places that normal human eyes could not look. "How do you feel?" Dr. Haywan asked. Jiwan was quiet for a long moment. She was trying to understand what was happening inside her body. She could feel new strength in her muscles. She could feel her thoughts moving faster. She could feel her senses becoming sharper. She could hear the bombs exploding above them. She could smell the smoke from the fires. She could feel the vibrations of the attack, even though she was deep underground. "I feel alive," Jiwan finally said. "I feel like myself again, but I feel like I am running out of time. My body is burning very hot. It feels like I have maybe 3 days before the cells start to fail, maybe less." Dr. Haywan checked the sensors and the screens. She could see what Jiwan was talking about. The reactivation had worked, but at a cost. The enhancement process was burning through Jiwan's biological resources very quickly. In 3 days, maybe 4, her cells would begin to break down. She would become very sick. She might die. But she had 3 days. She had 3 days to save the academy. Jiwan stood up, and immediately her new strength surprised her. A simple movement felt like she could move mountains. A simple thought felt like she could solve complex problems instantly. Her mind was racing. Her body was humming with power. "I need to get back to the battle," Jiwan said. But before she could move, the building shook. A massive explosion happened somewhere above them. The lights flickered. Dust fell from the ceiling. Dr. Haywan grabbed onto a table to keep from falling. "The enemy is getting closer," Dr. Haywan said. "They are moving toward the center of the base. If they reach the command center, they will have control of everything." Jiwan did not wait to hear more. She ran out of the medical facility, moving faster than any human should be able to move. Her body was a blur. Her feet barely touched the ground as she raced up the stairs and through the corridors toward the heart of the academy. The battle was waiting for her, and everything that happened next would change the course of the war. Jiwan moved through the academy like a ghost. She was so fast that soldiers saw only shadows. She was so strong that she could break through walls with her hands. The enemy forces had broken through the outer defenses and were moving toward the center of the base, but now they had a new problem. They had Jiwan. The first group of enemy soldiers that Jiwan encountered were Vironid warriors, trained fighters like Min Seok, but loyal to Commander Roktan. They were large and strong, but they were not prepared for what Jiwan could do. She came at them in silence. She did not shout. She did not announce herself. She simply moved. Her first punch hit a soldier in the chest and knocked him backward into a wall so hard that the wall cracked. Her second punch came up and hit another soldier in the face before he could even raise his weapon. The enemy tried to shoot her, but she was too fast. She moved between the bullets like water flowing around rocks. Every enemy soldier she touched fell. Some of them never got up again, but more soldiers kept coming. The enemy had many fighters. The academy had almost run out of places to hide them or protect them. Jiwan stopped in the center of a corridor and thought about what needed to happen. The orbital bombardment cannons above the academy were doing the most damage. If she could destroy those cannons, the enemy would lose their main weapon. The shield generators had already been damaged, but if she could fix them, she could protect the Academy from further attack. And Commander Roktan, G1's main enemy, was leading the battle from a command ship that was circling above the base. G1 made a plan. She would move fast. She would move through the enemy forces. She would destroy the cannons. She would disable the shield generators. And then, when the time was right, she would face Commander Roktan. But first, she needed to get to the orbital weapons facility. That meant going through the enemy army. She ran toward the eastern side of the base. Vironid soldiers tried to stop her. They came at her with weapons and hand-to-hand combat, but G1 was faster and stronger than anything they had ever fought before. A group of 5 soldiers came at her from one corridor. She jumped over them, flipped in the air, and came down behind them. She moved her hand once, and one soldier fell. She moved her arm once, and another soldier fell. In 5 seconds, all 5 soldiers were unconscious or too injured to fight. She reached the orbital weapons facility and found it guarded by 12 soldiers and 2 heavy automated turrets. G1 stopped. The turrets began to fire. Bullets came at her like rain. But G1 had learned to move with perfect precision. She moved left. She moved right. She moved up. She moved down. The bullets followed her, but they could not hit her. And as she moved, she was getting closer to the turrets. When she was close enough, she jumped and twisted her body in ways that human bodies should not be able to twist. She came down and hit one turret with her bare hand. The machine exploded. She immediately moved to the second turret and hit it with her other hand. That machine also exploded. The guards tried to run, but there was nowhere to run. G1 was standing between them and the exits. She did not want to kill them. So she was careful with her strikes. She hit them in ways that would hurt them, but not kill them. When she finished, all 12 soldiers were lying on the ground. G1 moved to the control panel for the orbital cannons. The system was complicated, but her enhanced mind could understand it very quickly. She found the main power coupling and shut it down. The orbital cannons went silent. They would not fire again unless someone brought the system back online, and G1 had damaged the backup generators so badly that would take days. She had taken out the main threat to the Academy, but the enemy was still attacking from the air. Their fighter ships were still shooting. Their ground forces were still moving toward the command center, and Commander Roktan was still commanding the battle from above. G1 raced back toward the center of the base. But this time, she was not moving through corridors. She was moving toward the shield generator. If she could restore the shields, the Academy would be protected from further aerial attack. The shield generator was a massive machine deep in the basement level of the Academy. It was damaged but not destroyed. G1 and 3 Academy engineers worked together to repair it. The engineers were amazed at how fast G1 could work. Her hands were a blur as she reconnected circuits and replaced damaged components. Her mind understood systems and electronics in ways that seemed almost magical. 20 minutes later, the shields came back online. A blue dome appeared above the Academy, glowing with energy. The enemy fighter ships tried to attack, but their weapons could not penetrate the shields. The aerial bombardment stopped. Commander Park's voice came through the communication system. "You did it, G1. You saved us. The enemy is losing ground. They are starting to retreat." But G1 knew the battle was not over. She could feel Commander Roktan's anger and determination. The Vironid commander was not going to give up. He was going to come down to the Academy himself. He was going to face her directly. And a few minutes later, that is exactly what happened. A Vironid landing ship came down through the shields. Only Commander Roktan was on that ship. He was alone. He wanted to face G1 by himself. G1 went to meet him at the landing zone. Commander Roktan was even larger than Min Seok. He was older. He was scarred. He was a warrior who had fought in many wars. When he looked at G1, he smiled. "So you are the weapon that the humans created," Commander Roktan said. "You are small. You are fragile. You look like you would break if I touched you." Then why are you afraid? Ji-Wan asked. Commander Roktan's smile faded. It was true. He was afraid. He had seen what Ji-Wan could do. He had seen his warriors fall. He had seen his weapons fail, but he was still going to fight because honor demanded it. They fought for 20 minutes. The battle was incredible. Commander Roktan was stronger than Ji-Wan. He was bigger. He was more experienced. But Ji-Wan was faster. She was more adaptable. She was fighting for something worth dying for. She was fighting to protect the people at the academy. She was fighting to prove that she was not just a weapon, but a person. In the end, Ji-Wan defeated Commander Roktan. She did not kill him. She simply hurt him badly enough that he could not continue fighting. The Viranid commander fell to his knees, and Ji-Wan stood over him, breathing hard, her body burning with the effort. "Tell your empire that the academy is under my protection," Ji-Wan said. "Tell them that if they come back, I will be here to stop them. Tell them that we are not just weapons. We are people, and we are worth protecting." Commander Roktan nodded slowly. He understood. He had been defeated by someone stronger than himself. It was the way of his people. He would retreat. But as Ji-Wan watched his ship leave the academy, she could feel her body beginning to fail. The reactivation procedure had burned through her biological reserves very quickly. She had maybe 2 days left now, maybe less. And she still did not know if she would survive. But at least the academy was safe. At least she had saved her people. And that was enough.